Hello guys, this is Malachi Branch Reviews here, and today this one's going to be a bit different than the other rants I have made, where I pretty much disagree with most of the person's points. Well, that is kind of the case here, but this one's going to be different, because, well, this time instead of just showing the video in its entirety, I'm just going to jump to specific points that I disagree with instead of just showing the complete thing. And today we are making a video on Cosmo's seasons 1 through 3 of Spongebob ranking, which not only do I just mostly disagree with pretty much the entire ranking, but some of his reasons are just complete bullcrap too. I don't know if he just doesn't get points, but just in case if he doesn't, this video will counteract the things he is disagreeing with, or the points that I just think aren't very well thought out or well reasoned. And I would just like to say, I do not hate all of this guy's videos. I do think he's one of the more better cartoon reviewers out there. I mean, certainly better than the last person we talked about, but still kind of has that cartoon reviewer trope where their complaints aren't exactly complaints and are just complete nitpicks, which I am not a fan of nitpicks, because you don't know if they're either being serious or just coming out with complaints out of their booty hole, as I like to say. But anyway, let's just get started with the video. This is kind of dragged on a bit.
Think of the newer episodes what you made, there is no denying that the original 3 seasons of SpongeBob SquarePants are some of the most entertaining Nickelodeon has ever had.
Okay, now, this may not exactly sound like he's saying that you can't dislike the pre-movie seasons, but it kind of has the same effect. Basically he said, think of the new seasons what you will, but there's no denying that the pre-movie episodes are some of the best that Nickelodeon has ever made. But it's kind of having the same effect as basically saying, if you don't like if you do not like pre-movie SpongeBob, then you are just a terrible human being. Which, I will admit, it's not as low as, it's not really that low, but it's just really stupid. It's nowhere near as low as what Vale said in the one video I made, counter-arguing his points, but it kind of has the same effect as saying, you cannot dislike pre-movie SpongeBob.
I really don't like this episode. Its plot is weak, none of the characters really shine, and it honestly sort of weakens the whole double episode as a result. I'd imagine a 20-minute Scaredy Pants special or something, working a lot better.
Now, I'm not saying there's really anything inherently wrong with this particular part of the video, but all I want to say is that when he said that he would imagine a 20-minute Scaredy Pants special working better, 20-minute specials weren't exactly a thing until season 2. That's all I particularly just wanted to say.
This really is the dumbest and unfortunately also unfunniest Patrick has ever been.
Okay, now here we come across one of my famous personal disagreements. Well, not exactly famous, but in my opinion, in my mind, they're famous. But honestly, the actions with Patrick in this one aren't nearly as unfunny, mean, or just stupid as that Patrick has ever been. I mean, in Dumped, I honestly think his actions in Dumped are far worse than they are in I Was Stupid. I mean, in that episode, Patrick is literally trying to act like, oh, well, he cannot have both of us, SpongeBob. All he wants is me. But in this one, what Patrick's just really doing is that, now, I'm not saying I can relate to this, to the actions that Patrick had in I Was Stupid, because I'm not exactly a dick, but what I'm saying is that some people may try, when someone else is acting stupid, to impress their parents. Maybe Patrick is just going along with what the parents are like, and it's just I'm just saying that I don't think the actions are as bad as they were in Dumped.
Having a buzzkill character is fine and all, but it doesn't work all that well when he's just straight up mean. Also, even as a kid I thought that the visual gags in this episode were mostly just distracting.
Okay, I really do not think this point is very good. I mean, when Cosmo said that Squidward's just acting mean throughout the episode, well, I actually think this episode works because, well, it's one of the, well, in Amp Lemons, there never ever be a show like Spongebob. I agree with the point where some of the best episodes are actually where SpongeBob and Squidward are actually acting on about stuff, like having the kind of reversal type of situation where Squidward is usually usually very, very upset about stuff and miserable, basically, and SpongeBob's just trying to have fun. But it's kind of like a reverse part here, and the fact that when he said Squidward's being mean, well, yeah, he is kind of being mean, but he's just getting very tired with the pranks, and maybe he's just a very violent prankster. But the thing that forgives that, in my opinion, is that if you seen the later parts in the episode, Squidward actually apologizes for what he did to SpongeBob. Like, you just completely glossed over that point in the episode. Like, this is kind of stupid. It's like, I'm kind of doing the cartoon reviewing job here.
This is one of the uglier Season 1 episodes, which wouldn't be too much of a problem if what is happening was more interesting, but they really don't do a lot with the concept of SpongeBob being sick. Funny jokes, just not all that rewatchable.
What's kind of funny is that this is actually one of my favorite Season 1 SpongeBob episodes because the moral's really good, teaching kids that you shouldn't be afraid to go to the doctors and not to let impersonators do that job for you. The jokes are very well put together, and the episode is just really, really good. Also, you saying that there was nothing going on and saying that they used nothing with the concept of SpongeBob being sick, well, actually there actually is quite a bit going on in this episode. Like, for example, the part where Patrick comes over and SpongeBob tells him about the doctor and Patrick warning him, and Patrick trying to hide SpongeBob from Sandy. That's quite a bit. And also, if you're saying they absolutely did nothing with it, then that's just very stupid, because it's obviously just teaching kids they shouldn't be afraid of your doctors, and it's not good to let them fake doctors who don't even have a doctor's certificate or something try to keep you better if it could also possibly just make it worse.
Kids, growing up also comes with the realization that, slowly but surely, you are turning into Bubble Bass.
I'm not turning into Bubble Bass. I still have my vision.
I continue to forget about this one whenever I'm trying to think of all the Season 2 episodes. It's one of the more gag-centered episodes, but not one of the most iconic.
So, the episode isn't very iconic. So, by that logic, that means the episode should be lower because it's not as iconic as the other ones. That's a pretty stupid reason to put an episode very low. Like, the episode can still be really good, just not iconic. I mean, I certainly like No Free Rides, and I know it's not really even that iconic, but one thing that I do know is that, well, it did spawn that one SpongeBob little raspberry thing where he's, well, like, tongue twister thing where he's just like shaking his finger up and down, like, kind of like. But, well, this episode was the birth of that meme, so it is kind of iconic in some way. But still, you shouldn't say an episode is not that great simply because it's not iconic.
The trope of characters being mean to other characters just for the sake of being mean, just die, please.
Cosmodor, you are ignoring this neat little thing in this episode called context. You see, the characters are being mean to each other because they think they can do stuff that others can't. Like, For example, in the episode, SpongeBob and Sandy are racing, and they think, like, for example, SpongeBob and Sandy think they can beat each other in a race, and not to mention that also adds towards this moral in the episode where not everyone is great at everything, and you shouldn't judge other people for doing things that you can't. It's more than just the character trope of characters being mean to other characters just for the sake of being mean to other characters. Like, it's not just simply that, it's this little thing called context.
How is this guy not in more episodes? I love him so much.
Well, you see, Cosmo, that comes when you grow older and you grow more brain cells, there comes the sudden realization that characters like these that you would want in other episodes are actually just background characters. Now, I do think that he is joking, but this is gonna kind of include some jokes in the episode too, but still, if this for some reason on the planet Jupiter is not a joke, characters you love won't appear in every single episode.
All for Patchy in special episodes, but here all of his segments were nothing more than filler. And there is no reason for this to be a minute long. I guess the intent behind the episode was to be a final real episode, hence the montage and musical number. However, the actual episode itself is simply not all that entertaining.
Okay, I kinda do have quite a bit of things to say about this point, and the next one, well, you saying that these patchy segments are nothing but filler, they actually do exist for a reason. Like, for example, one of the very first patchy segments actually shows him Patchy searching for the lost episode of SpongeBob, which is the alternative title for this episode, the lost episode. And not to mention that, by that logic of Patchy segments being filler, then wouldn't that, by that logic, mean that every episode that has Patchy in it is filler? I mean, they do serve to be kind of live-action segments, and not to mention they try to stray away from the episodes a bit, like for the specials. So, by that logic, wouldn't that mean other Patchy segments would be filler too? Also, not every last part of last specials, or anything for that matter, they don't always have to be the most entertaining. I mean, like, say the Spider-Man 3, that was supposed to be like the last official Spider-Man movie. Sorry, I kind of got confused for a second, or just couldn't figure out what I was saying, but yeah, it may be the last one, but that doesn't exactly mean it's the most entertaining, so just wanted to put that out there.
Not sure what I should take away from this one. Don't have fun with fish hooks? Don't trust Mr. Krabs? Don't leave the burgers to Squidward? What's the point?
Again, Cosmo, you are ignoring the context and the moral. The context is that Patrick was kind of manipulating SpongeBob to go with him to the hooks, and by that, they are playing hooky, which SpongeBob is taking a break, quote-unquote, without actually asking Mr. Krabs, or, just not doing the right thing. And again, the moral is that you shouldn't play hooky because it could lead to consequences that you will suffer. Even if it looks fun, you shouldn't. If everything looks fun, you probably shouldn't try it. Again, Cosmo, that is the point of this episode, and I don't know how you don't get the moral or the context.
Is such an underappreciated character. But this episode is also the most frustratingly stupid SpongeBob has ever been.
Well, SpongeBob is not a very smart individual. Like, seriously, what were you expecting? And plus, SpongeBob can be fooled by the most easy things if you didn't know. Plus, that's the kind of dealing with the context too. Like, the supposed bodyguard is actually the Strangler in disguise, and SpongeBob isn't supposed to know if he's the burglar or not, or Strangler. Because if SpongeBob just automatically knew if he was the Strangler, then this episode would be just like a couple minutes or so. Like, Seriously, although I will agree with you that the Strangler is a pretty underappreciated character, though.
Very funny first half. Frustrating second one.
Oh boy, now, this is just a personal disagreement, but it's actually funny all the way throughout, in my opinion, and also it's just I don't understand why you think it's so frustrating during the second half, because I actually think it gets a lot funnier in the second half. Like, for example, the scene where SpongeBob is ratting out Squidward, and how SpongeBob is just completely oblivious to Squidward trying to manipulate him, but that's with the context, it's acceptable. And also, one of the funniest parts is when Squidward's like, "What are you saying?" And then SpongeBob just gets really mad, and then he just drags the bed with Squidward in it, and then he just like rushes over the Krusty Krab. That is very funny. And again, it's okay if you're not a huge fan of this episode, but this is just like top tier quality SpongeBob material.
Look at this head and tell me with a straight face that SpongeBob didn't know about Christmas back in season 1.
SpongeBob did not know about Christmas back in season 1. What is my evidence to support that claim? Well, it's very simple. You see, Cosmo, SpongeBob does not exactly have continuity in it. And it could take place in any part of SpongeBob. Like, for example, it could take place directly after Christmas Who, or maybe anywhere otherwise. Like, it just, SpongeBob does not have continuity in it, so it could take place at any point in SpongeBob history.
Chips in a bottle, and to this day haven't been able to find the SS Fancy.
Oh, so you cannot find the SS Fancy. Well, I can tell you one reason why you have not been able to find it. You're not in Bikini Bottom. That is the main reason why you cannot find it.
This one's a bit of SpongeBob overkill at times, but the ending song is just so damn beautiful.
Again, we are referring back to the context and the moral. You see, this is actually both context and the moral both in one, but the reason why SpongeBob was going overkill is because, well, it's relatable, because once you find a way to make people laugh, you will probably repeat it into the round, and it can get very tiring. And also, the moral is you don't have to repeat a joke or just do the same thing over and over again to make someone your friend. Just try and be yourself.
So, how come SpongeBob is suddenly this grade A student, even though he didn't once manage to pass his exam before? As an avid observer of the SpongeBob SquarePants lore, I am insulted.
Well, supposed observer of the SpongeBob lore, have you noticed that SpongeBob was only able to pass the oral part of the exam? He was never actually able to pass the driving portion of the exam, so you are not a supposed observer of the SpongeBob lore. Also, if you're a supposed observer, how come you were not able to find context morals or notice such a little non-continuity?
We just stink!
There's a valuable life lesson in there. Somewhere.
Well, I think I may have found the life lesson in there somewhere for you, Cosmo. I believe that the life lesson in there is that you should not think that you are either a bad person or are ugly simply because of your breath or your body odor. You take care of it.